Hello and welcome to our first video in English, and also welcome to a new build series in which we want to build a modern version of the famous BMW E36 GTR. Our goal is to build an all-metal version of the BMW E36 GTR.
Same lab with 10, but also they have replaced 3 PTG BMWs going up against the Porsche.
But with a modern twist to it. So it will be a lot lower than the original one. We will raise the rear wheel arches higher, so the stance will be a lot less rake and the car will sit more flush on the ground. We will use the original side skirt covers on the outside of the rocker panels, but we will move them out a little so they catch the line of the wider body. And in front, we want to 3D print those transition pieces to also match the line of the wider body and give it a nice flowy line. Our main goal is to keep it look simple, but if you might know, things who look simple take the most effort sometimes. And that means it was a lot of more work than it sounds like. It wasn't just to mount some nice looking BBS RS rims with a set of cool looking race tires, but let's dive in to a build labs and I will tell you what it took us. At first we put the car on the lift and grabbed the 18 by 10 and 18 by 10.5 BBS RS with some 265 660 18 Goodyear race tires on it. Both the rims and wheels were borrowed from good friends of mine who have a set of wheels to start with. Of course, in front they did not fit, so we easily just stacked some wheel spacers underneath the rim, and in the rear we simply just bolted them on with no issues. The first look was impressive but not really satisfying. The front stuck out way too much and the rears were too narrow for what we need. So we mounted some wheel spacers in the rear as well and then started to figure out of how much we need to cut out the rear arches to make the rims fit. We removed the springs and disconnected the shocks to pump up the suspension to maximum low. Then we measured the diameter of the wheels. Since they are 660 race tires, I knew they were around 660 mm. But I measured anyway to make sure we cut out right. First, I catched the center of the wheel hub with a laser and then transferred those points to the side of the car by using tape. And then measured half of the rim diameter up, so to mark the lowest point we definitely have to cut out. And we marked the rest of the points where the wheel ends in front and in the back of the wheel center. Now that we knew all the points, I simply just marked and eyeballed a line with a pen and laid down some tape for Nobby to see where he has to cut. Nobby. He's the owner of the car and a well-known YouTuber from Germany. So I let him do the first cuts. So he's the guilty one who destroyed the rust-free car. And I told him to not let the cutting disc explode.
Ich kann eine Story machen, warte. Ich kann auch hier anfangen, wa? Ja.
Since it was his first time cutting one of his own cars, I think he did a very good job. Then it was time for me to grab the angle grinder. I did the final cutout. And then I grabbed the saw to chop off a piece of the back bumper. After that, I grabbed the angle grinder again and cut out the inner sheet metal, but not as far up as we first did the outer, because we will need some material to hammer up the inner sheet metal to meet the outer. By the way, you don't have to do several cuts into the inner sheet metal area, as you often see on the internet. Just take your time and stretch the metal all the way up with a heavy hammer. For quick line checks, I like to use a piece of plastic tube, and this told me the back end is now just the way we needed it to be. So we moved on to the front of the car, where the wheel still stuck out way too far. Since the rims and tires are just borrowed, it wasn't a big problem. We just unbolted the brake caliper. To mark up the point where the wheel hits the car on the shock towers, we screwed down the front suspension to maximum low. We even removed the helper springs and the bump stops. This time the measurements were a little different. We did not put the suspension to maximum low. We measured half of the wheel diameter down from the lowest point of the shock tower. A point where you can't do any cutouts, when you at least try to keep it street legal here in Germany. The rest of the measuring process was the same than in the rear. Set center of the wheel hub, transfer it by using a laser, measure up half the wheel diameter, which in our case means 33 cm, to mark the highest point of the wheel. Draw a nice round line by using tape and then just cut it out. Since I'm a hoarder, I will definitely keep the cutout piece for a future project. So finally, the stance and the way the wheels stuck out of the car were as perfect as they could be to start the design process. I first made some nice pieces of sheet metal to bolt onto the plastic areas of the bumper. And then I started bending some 5mm steel rods. Our goal was to lay down the complete design by building a wire structure, which we later used as a reference for the main bodywork, which I will build out of sheet metal. As you just saw, this is the perfect solution to transfer the vision in your head into the real life. You can basically break down every line of the design into one little wire and adjust it as long as it takes to make the lines as perfect as they could be. If you are new to the channel and like this kind of work, please make sure to subscribe our channel to help us grow, so we can do a lot more unique projects in the car and motorbike world in the future. Let's dive into a new build labs in which we lay down the design for the future body lines by building a wire structure. Now we are done with the design process. It's time to build it out of metal. As you see in the background, I already turned around the car because we will start building the metal version of the wheel housing on the other side of the car. So we still have the wire structure on this side to take measurements, to take templates for the sheet metal cutouts, and to do line checks and simply compare the sides to each other. I already start building the other side, so let's move on and I'll show you a little teaser. So as you see in the background, I already started with the side skirts. There will be one of my fixed points to start the sheet metal work around the wheel. So I will have one fixed point where the skirts end, and I will have another fixed point where it goes into the bumper. And then I will start with the arch metal. So if you are interested in this project now, please make sure to stay tuned on my channel so you don't miss the next episode. And if you are interested in the build itself, you can go on the owner's channel at Colorblind Visuals, marked here. And if you are interested in stuff I did or I do, there are a lot of cool time-lapse videos on my channel, out any language, or there is a video about my Vespa scooter, it has air ride suspension. You can activate English subtitles, it's this Vespa. If you like the sweater I'm wearing, it will be soon in my online shop. So now we end the video with a bunch of projects I already did, or at least took footage of it, but didn't make a video out of it. Those are all projects where we make build series out of, where you can learn some tricks for your own projects or just enjoy watching it. So, bye bye, tschüss und ade.